So let's show you what I'm actually fishing with. Unlike most of the other shows, I'm just using boilies. You know, I'm a fan of spodding and small baits and chopping baits up. Well, this winter I've been fishing Walthamstow all winter long, and I've been trickling bait into a few swims at the end of each session because you can't night fish here. So on the way back to the car, I'm using the catapult and just baiting up a few spots just to get the fish eating it and moving around. And that's the bait. It's a new Mainline bait. It's going to come out next year. It hasn't got a name at the moment. And if I compare these washed out ones to the ones straight out the bag, that illustrates why I'm doing it. In the morning, the baits are going to look like that on the bottom in my right hand there. They look like that straight out of the bag. So if I wash them out, when I cast out first thing in the morning with these washed out ones, they look exactly the same as the one I was putting the night before. It's not really the smell, it's the look that I'm really looking for. So compare the two there, you can see how much different they look, and I think that's getting me bites sooner. And the other thing about washing your baits out is you're drawing water into them before you chuck them out onto the silty bottom. These places are very, very soft on the bottom, and that smell of the silt can draw into the bait very quickly. So if you saturate them with water first, that silt doesn't go into them as quickly. Now, you don't want to be saturating them with normal tap water, you want to use lake water. It doesn't matter if you're not using the water from the lake you're actually fishing. You can use water out your pond in the back garden. I use the water out the ponds on Blackheath near where I live, and just flush them out for about 12 hours before you're going to fish with them, and then they're absolutely bang on. Now, I'm just using the boilie approach. Adam's doing something completely different. He's using boilies, but he's using them with loads of maggots, and he's feeding them with a special additive to make them taste even nicer. So let's get round to his swim and see what Adam's doing with maggots.
Right, I'm just going to go through the bait I'm using with you. For the last few winters I've been using maggots in some quantities, and I'm using them on this session. It's a tactic that I've got a huge amount of faith in, and I do a couple of little things to make them more attractive and more potent, as it were. And one of the main things I like doing is getting a nice bucket, quite a few pints of maggots together. And the night before I go fishing, I dose them up with Activate liquid, which is really nice, rich smelling liquid. If you put that on your maggots and give them a good shake up, what you'll find is that by the morning, they actually take it on and they feed on the liquid, and you can see on the feed spot the black ball is on the outside of the maggot. You can see it actually growing and pulsing, and if you actually pop one, it smells of Activate liquid. So you can get your own flavoured maggots like that, really, really effective. What I do just to sort of get it a nice powdery and more potent mix is I add some ground bait to it. This is a fish meal ground bait. Some matching Activate pellets, they go in there as well. I give it a good shake up. I add some Activate syrup, get it as smelly as I can. And lastly, I like to crumble up some Grange boilies and put those in. The reason for that is that sometimes the fish can get a bit preoccupied on the smaller food particles, and by fishing or by feeding pieces of boilie, it gives you the option of actually fishing a small piece of boilie on the hair. So you don't always need to actually use a maggot rig. You can just fish a piece with maybe a small plastic maggot or something. That's how I've been taking most of my fish. To put the bait in, I've been using a spod, clipping it up and getting all my rods marked with tape to the area that I'm fishing in, and just basically putting it in at the end of the day, so that when I turn back in the morning, if I can get in the swim before everybody else, get on the gates nice and early, I can just cast the rods out, clipped up from the previous night, and hopefully the bream and the carp and whatever else is out there has been feeding on the bait. Dan's using a different method of bait application, catapults and hand of God as he calls it, which you'll see later on, but I've been doing it solely with the spod and fishing PVA bags attached to the hook.